This is once again Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution, and for the second time in a couple of weeks, I'm joined by Frédéric Chaudière, who is joining us from Château Pesquié in the Ventoux in France. Our first interview had some technical glitches, and Frédéric's been kind enough to come and rejoin us today at Good Food Revolution. How are you today, sir?
Good, Jimmy. How are you?
I am great. All the better for seeing you once again. So how are things in Ventoux these days? Where are you in your harvest cycle? And yeah, all that good stuff.
Well, you know, we actually just started, well, it's actually the third week already of a second confinement. So we've known funnier times. But I'm sure we'll get back to that. Regarding the harvest, of course we finished 2020. We never had such an early vintage. You know, in the Ventoux we are normally in a very late terroir in a kind of cooler climate, probably the coolest of the south of the Rhone Valley, and this year, for the first time at Château Pesquié, we actually started late August. Wow. But even weirder for us, we stopped the picking late September, which had never happened to us. So we had done early October a couple of times, but usually we're more accustomed to pick up to the 10th or the 15th of October, sometimes later than that. So basically we devatted the last tank last week. So we're pretty much done with the main first steps of the winemaking of that vintage, and it looks pretty exciting.
Excellent, excellent. Now, how much of an impact did the pandemic have upon your year in the vineyard and in the winery?
To be honest, I think it went all right for us. The first confinement for us was really between March and mid-May, let's say. We had a moment when we thought that would be difficult for pruning was already done, but more for the debudding. To make sure that we would have enough seasoned workers to finish the work, or to be actually able to be in the vines at the right time. And we only had to use a couple of subcontractors for a couple of weeks. But overall, our current team are mostly locals, so right. You know, they could come to work. It was and it all went quite fine. Then for the rest of the, I mean, until 3 weeks ago, we kind of came back to normal business, really, and more or less. So I suppose we've been pretty, preserved, let's say, in this difficult years to carry on with that vintage.
So, Frédéric, for those of our viewers who are a little unfamiliar with your region, Ventoux, who better to explain it than the president of the Ventoux AOP, yourself?
Yeah, I've been recently elected. I've been elected president that July. So it's a new honor and a new challenge.
Congratulations.
Well, so the Ventoux area is pretty much in the southeast of the Rhone Valley. We're about 35 kilometers east of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and Pesquie is exactly at the same latitude, but the Ventoux area is overall east of Châteauneuf, between 25 and 45 kilometers, let's say, overall. And the AOC takes its name from our mountain, the Ventoux mountain, which is about 2,000 meters high, 1912 meters exactly. And the influence of that mountain creates a kind of very specific climate, a cooler microclimate, which basically, with the warm air going up during the day and the cool air coming down from the mountain at night, helps us to have a better natural acidity in the wine, balance in the wine overall. And so essentially, we find most of the same varieties that we find across the Southern Rhone, a majority of Grenache, quite a bit of Syrah, Roussanne, Clairette, Grenache Blanc, Viognier, Cinsault, Carignan, Mourvèdre. And so we have very much a Rhone profile, but with a lift, you know, with a kind of slightly fresher, cooler style to make it, you know, quite general. In terms of soil, it's really the diversity that, I mean, we have a very diverse geology, but it's really limestone that prevails. At the image of the summit of the mountain, I don't know if you ever seen our mountain, you know, but its summit seems like it's covered with snow all year long, but it's actually just pure limestone at the top of it. We do have some snow, you know, a couple of months a year at its summit, but overall, if you come in July, you know, most people who come for the first time, they look at like, wow, it is kind of a Mount Fuji, you know, look somehow, and but except that it's no snow at all. It's just pure limestone.
Would it be fair to say that Ventoux as an AOP has been going through something of a renaissance over the last decade or so?
I think so. I mean, I'm very biased to that topic, of course, but there is clearly something happening. I think there's definitely a new generation on my side, third generation of Pesquier, but there's been lots of newcomers from all over the world, from many other regions from France, and I think let's say the good news of the great terroir of the Ventoux is kind of spreading faster and faster. It is, you know, we remain an AOC that is quite affordable on one hand, and I think even more important with climate change, because we have this cooler climate, this ability to grow vines slightly higher up in altitude. We have kind of great advantages to think in the long term and still make balanced and interesting wines with, you know, new climatic conditions. So it's been definitely helping to emulate all the producers and yeah, I think there's a stronger and stronger collective as well, and yeah, there's no doubt that the average quality in the Ventoux in the last 2 decades have increased in quite dramatic ways.
Has there been an embracing of organic and biodynamic viticulture within your region recently?
Well, it is. I'll speak as a general, as the AOC representative first, and then I'll speak for Pesquier. Yeah. But overall, I think this is something where we could be better. But even though there's a good dynamic, because about 12–13% of the vineyard of the AOC is already certified organic. So this is definitely notable. It's increasing every year. We are hoping to get over 20% quite quickly. But you know, we have an incredible climate, very warm days, cool nights, the Mistral wind that is drying normally and then blowing after the rain. So we have conditions that allow organic viticulture and make it much easier than in many other territories or terroirs. So, as a personal, from my personal point of view, the Château Pesquié point of view, then is that we should go much further. And on the estate, we are fully certified for the whole vineyard. We've even moved to biodynamic practices for the last 5 years now. So this is definitely something we are very familiar with, and that I'm trying to convince all the other players in the AOC that we should definitely accelerate in that direction, and because the Ventoux is a natural park as well. There are lots of reasons. There's like 30,000 hectares of forest. It's a very well preserved area. There's an incredible biodiversity that has been classified by UNESCO. So every winemaker, I think, has good reasons to move to organic, and that's really my. I have a very strong belief in the fact that this is the best way to express a terroir and to make quality wine. But being in the Ventoux, in this very preserved environment, I think we somehow have even more a mission to become better at it. And I'm at least strongly working to spread the good news.
What was it that convinced you that biodynamic viticulture was the way forward at Château Pesquié?
It mostly started by tasting with my brother Alex, and we really work as a team with four hands, and lots of wines it's tasting and meeting wines and winemakers that we like very much, and exchanging with them and discovering that in the vast majority they were already if not certified Demeter or Biodivin, or they were actually for the most part following these principles. And so we had a very pragmatic, empirical approach to the process. We are not very much, we like to experiment things. And so we came to biodynamic practices this way. And, we were already organic, and we basically had a few plots where we did a part of it would remain just organic and the other part would remain biodynamic. And usually we made sure that we also had a conventional plot from a neighbor nearby, so that we could keep on comparing the soil structure, its vitality, and the vines themselves, and the results have been in some soils faster than other, but across the board very visual. Very we could smell a kind of stronger earthy smell with in the ground. We could see a kind of darker earth. We could see the kind of denser root structure of the herbs and the surface. We could measure a kind of better verticality in the leaves of our vines, and so quite quickly, from 20% of the estate, we moved to 50% of the estate, and now it's the fourth vintage where we've done the whole estate biodynamically. It's and we're probably still only scratching the surface, but we like to experiment permanently and find new ways to make better wines. That's what makes our work quite fun, actually.
How do you believe that this biodynamic work you've been doing has impacted the final wines? I mean, can you see the evolution of your wines from 5, 10 years ago to where you are today, and what are the differences between those vintages?
It's still very difficult to answer that question precisely. First, because it's been only 5, 6 years that we've started moving on, and in the grand scale of things, it's a short period of time. But there's definitely, with moving to biodynamic, there's probably your general view of the winemaking and of growing vines evolve, and so with the move to biodynamic practices, we also made other changes. So it's difficult to measure exactly what was the impact of the biodynamic practices per se, but let's say that it conveys a general philosophy that helped us. We actually have become much more precise with the aging. By using less wood, more raw concrete, more bigger barrels, 600 liters, the minuit, and also just with the thickness of the wood we use, their selection, the exchange with the barrel makers. We've been working more and more with concrete eggs as well. We've also specifically in the last 4 years, started having a much more precise plot per plot selective way. We've created new single vineyards, cuvée, and let's say that across the whole channel, we've become much more precise, but overall, so how does it impact the wines? We are definitely more on the freshness and on the mineral side, less extraction, less. The agings are here to underline the fruit, to maybe build a little bit the final, make sure that we kind of rounding its the tannins, its potential austerity, but globally we have a minerality, saltiness, freshness, balance, a kind of brighter, more vibrant wines is the result of all of that. Biodynamic being definitely at the core of it all, but only one of the main tools in this kind of larger toolbox.
I understand.